Something big is changing in the world of corporate power. And it's not happening in the boardroom. It's happening on the ground, in our own communities. So today, we're going to dive into how massive companies are using some incredibly sophisticated new strategies to shape public opinion and lock down what they call their license to operate.
All right, let's kick things off with a question for you. When you picture a huge corporation, maybe a giant mining company, what do you think is its most valuable asset? Is it their heavy machinery, the land they own, the gold in the ground? Think you know the answer? Well, it might surprise you.
Turns out their most valuable asset is something you can't even see. It's the permission that we, the public, give them to even exist and do business. It's kind of like an unwritten social contract. And without it, all those trucks, all that land, pretty much worthless.
There's actually a name for this. It's called the social license to operate. And this isn't some official permit you get from the government. It's the ongoing day-by-day acceptance you get from a community. If you lose it, your billion-dollar project can grind to a halt. And this, right here, is the new battleground where the whole game is changing.
Okay, so why is this all happening now? I mean, for decades, big companies just put out press releases and hired lobbyists, right? But that old playbook, it's getting seriously outdated. The ground is literally shifting under their feet.
Just think about all the pressure a big company is under these days. Getting projects approved takes way longer, and the costs just keep going up. And on top of all that, you've got communities watching their every move, and they want real, honest engagement, not just some slick PR campaign.
So what does this all mean? Well, it means the power has shifted. It's not just about winning over a few politicians anymore. Nope. Influence now pops up from everywhere, from what people are saying online, to local groups getting organized, to advocacy campaigns that can change the entire conversation overnight.
What we're looking at here is a total overhaul of their strategy. They're flipping the script. Instead of just reacting to problems, they're trying to get ahead of them. Instead of just guessing, they're digging into hard data. And they're ditching the old megaphone approach for something that's actually rooted in the community, with results they can, actually measure.
So the big question is, how are these companies actually dealing with this brand new, super complex world? Well, they're borrowing a playbook from a field that has absolutely mastered the art of persuasion in our digital age, modern politics.
And the engine driving this whole thing, it's a technology called location intelligence. Basically, it uses aggregated anonymous data, like from our phones, to understand how people move around in the real world. This lets them see communities not as just, pins on a map, but as these living, breathing networks of people.
And with this tech, companies can start answering some really tough questions. Questions that used to be pure guesswork. Like, who are the actual people impacted by a new project? It's way more than just drawing a circle on a map.
And it gets even more specific. Where can they find the folks who might be on their side? Or maybe the ones who are still on the fence? Where do these people live, work, hang out? This data can start to show them.
But here's the real kicker, the most important question of all. Once you find these people, how do you actually get them to speak up? How do you take that quiet support and turn it into something real, something loud enough that the people in charge have to pay attention?
And the answer to all of this? Well, it's right there in the data. This new style of corporate campaign is all about swapping guesswork for surgical precision and finding that clear signal through all the noise.
Okay, so how does this all come together? How do they turn all this data into an actual, full-blown campaign? Let's break down the process, step by step, and see how these insights become real-world action. You'll see it looks a lot like a modern political campaign. It's really a four-step process. First, they map the human landscape to figure out who's who. Then they target specific groups with custom-built messages. Next, they mobilize their supporters to actually do something. And finally, they measure everything to see what's working and what's not. So that first step, mapping, it's all about getting super granular. We're not talking about basic demographics here. This tech lets them tell the difference between people who live right next door to a project and the local business owners across the region. They can even spot potential activist clusters, maybe before they even get fully organized. It's pretty wild. And get this quote from the source material really tells you everything you need to know. Just listen to the words they use. They aren't talking about the general public. They're targeting voters in key electorates, local business networks, and even their own employees. This is like a laser beam aimed right at the people who can sway the final decision.
Now, when we say mobilizing, we're not just talking about getting a few likes on Facebook. No, the goal here is to get people to do actual stuff in the real world. They want their supporters signing petitions, showing up to town hall meetings, and sending emails to decision makers, making it look like a huge organic wave of local support just sprung up out of nowhere.
And you can see how much things have changed. In this new model, a whopping 50% of the entire effort goes into this data-driven mobilization. The old school stuff, lobbying, press releases, that used to be the whole game. Now it's just a fraction of the pie.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does all of this really mean? Why should we care that corporations are starting to act like political campaigns? Let's look at the big picture.
Well, the bottom line is that the line between a corporate PR department and a political campaign headquarters is getting seriously blurry. They're now able to engage with us using the exact same high-tech, sophisticated playbook that's used to win elections.
And all of this leaves us with a really big, kind of tricky question to think about. When a company can pinpoint and activate a small group of supporters with this kind of laser precision, making them seem like the voice of the entire town, how can we ever really know who's actually speaking for the community? What's real and what's just a brilliantly executed campaign? That's the question we're left with.